Hey everybody. I think a lot of people have probably been waiting for the events that have happened tonight to happen. So I have now seen the Carnifex film a couple of hours ago. And I guess I'll just take a step back here and kind of explain how we got to this point. I'm going to try not to be as I'm going to try not to be long-winded, but you know how I am. Okay, so in 2016, I published a book called Carnifex, which I am now wearing on my person. This was under the pseudonym Matthew J. Hellscream. I just kicked the tripod, whoops. So yes, Carnifex, my novel, was published under the pseudonym Matthew J. Hellscream, which is pen name for myself, Matthew J. Barbler, which I currently write under. I became aware probably about a month ago now of a film being released called Carnifex, which on first glance appears to be about the same monster, well, same creature really, with the same title, very similar setting, very similar tone, very similar subject matter. And the way that I became aware of this film is that one of my friends messaged me at about 7:30, I think it was on a Sunday night, and said, "Oh, did you get your book turned into a movie?" And sent me a screenshot of the Supernova page with the Carnifex film trailer on there. And I said, no. So I kind of stewed on it for about an hour while I was watching the trailer, and I'm just like, oh fuck, it's the same monster, it's the same creature, it's an Aussie horror movie. My book is about that creature. My book has the same title. My book is an Aussie horror creature feature. What the fuck is going on here? So about an hour after my friend notified me of the existence of this film, and I found out that it existed and looked into it and watched the trailer and all of that, I put a tweet out purely so people would understand that I did not sell the rights to my novel, Carnifex, because people were very confused, as you can understand they might be. So the reason I put that tweet out was to just let people know this is not my book. I didn't sell the rights. Over the course of the next week or so, it was quite stressful, if I'm being honest. Carnifex, the novel, is the one book that I've written amongst the 11 or 12 works that I've published that I actively wanted to adapt for film. And, you know, an Aussie horror drop bear movie, what's not to love? You know, it hasn't been done. Nobody had done a book like that, and as far as I'm aware, until I wrote one. And to see something so on the surface similar, title, monster, setting, tone, all that stuff, it, I guess you don't really understand how it's going to make you feel unless something like that happens to something that you've written and published. And there was a big drama furor thing about people making assumptions about what I meant when I tweeted that I was seeking legal advice. The legal advice was never about any action that I was going to be taking against the film. The legal advice that I was seeking was purely so that I would understand what my rights are as a copyright and intellectual property holder in Australia. Now I'm going to break this down and make it pretty bleak for any creators out there who think that just by creating something that it is yours in its entirety, in perpetuity, and that no one can come along and, you know, use a similar concept or something like that, because it pretty much boils down to this. You can have a strikingly similar or same title as another work in another medium. It can be about the same subject matter. It can be the same genre, the same setting, the same tone, blah 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 blah. And there's literally nothing that you can do under law to take action. The only thing that you can do is if you can demonstrate that that events, scenes, pieces of a plot, characters, or specific pieces of dialogue, stuff like that. Um, if you can demonstrate that that has been lifted from your source material, then perhaps maybe you have a legal leg to stand on to take action. But the thing that you need to think about is, what is that legal action going to achieve? This film, which has been made by Dancing Road Productions, um, you know, I don't want to repeat because, okay, so what's happened is I've seen the film tonight, and one of the producers from South Australia, Gina Helen Ashwell, was there to watch the film with me. Now, the production company didn't need to do that. They didn't need to come up here and meet me and treat me to a session of the movie or anything like that. But they did, and I feel like it was a gesture of good faith. Now, getting back to the legal perspective is, you can essentially have all of the same framework as another piece of fiction, but it can still be an original work if if it's its own thing. It's like there's been 100 shark movies out there, only one of them called Jaws, of course. Well, the series, but it's a shark. Sharks really exist. And for the novel, my novel is based on the creature, the Thylacryleo Carnifex, which is an actual creature that existed. And the word Carnifex is in the public domain because it means butcher, torturer, executioner in Latin, right? So all in public domain. So even if I wanted to take action, I would need to be able to demonstrate that scenes, events, blah 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 blah, would be lifted from my novel and placed into the film. Now that I have seen the film, I can say with certainty, and look, I'm sorry if I seem to be considering my words carefully here. The law is a minefield, and I don't want to throw shade at Dancing Road. I don't want to throw any shade at Gina. I don't want to throw shade at anyone. I don't want to cause any issues or drama or anything like that. So I'm just going to be very careful about what I say. But the story within the Carnifex film is very different from the story, the plot that's in my novel. My novel, hang on, let me just move this over here because I think my desktop is pulling all the light away. So now you get to look at my skeleton's coccyx. It's just hanging up in my window there. So the story that's in the film is very different to the story in my novel. Mine is about a small community who is hiding a very big secret. And the very big secret is the existence of the last population of Thylacryleo Carnifex in Australia. It's got that small town mystery kind of thing, whereas the Carnifex film, it is played as a very straight eco horror, for want of a better word. So it's essentially about some conservationists going to the wilderness, surveying populations in a post-bushfire Australia, which is it's a very important thing. The film is very heavy in its environmental message. Whether that works for you or not, I'm not going to make any judgment calls here, but I am relatively satisfied that the contents of the film have not been lifted wholesale from my novel. Now, that said, there were probably half a dozen moments or snippets of dialogue that I felt were strikingly similar to parts of my novel. But whether that is, and this is me not making any assertions, assumptions, or reading anything into it, but I feel like there are certain things that if you want to be able to explain to an audience what a Thylacoleo carnifex is, because it's really not a creature that is in the public consciousness. No one knows this fucking thing exists, right? There are certain things that you need to do, certain things that you need to say, certain things that must be addressed in order to actually explain what this creature is and what it does. And there were some parts where I felt as though there were striking similarities. But as I said, I'm not making any assumptions or assertions there, it could simply be that the subject matter must be explored in these particular ways. Now, some things that I will say that I really enjoyed about the film was that I really enjoyed the character interactions between the three conservationists. I thought there was some really good dialogue. You know, me and my wife laughed at some of the bits, and it really is that kind of really Australian humor that you just don't get anywhere else. I also really liked that they portray the natural world of Australia, which is just unlike anywhere else that you'll find on the planet. You know, funny that we're locked away from everyone. But the way that it's been portrayed in the film really shows a different side that I appreciate. I think it's been done really well. Now, when it comes to the creature itself, I will say that it is not the difference between my book and this film is that my book treats the Thylacoleo carnifex as a species as we scientifically understand them at this present moment. So it is really, in my novel, it's really about the preservation, about the idea of the species and all of the things that we know about them, and how that would, you know, translate to a horror novel. But the monster that appears in the Carnifex film takes a large amount of liberty with the source material, which is probably going to make the fans of the creature, because there are fans out there of the Thylacoleo Carnifex, and I've talked to a couple of them because of my book. But it is not accurate to what we understand of the creature. And they explain this in the film by kind of saying that, you know, it's possible that it's a subspecies or something like that, but it is left very, very ambiguous as to the origins and all of that about this creature that's in the film. Now, another good thing about the film that I really enjoyed was the sound design, and yeah, the sound really made it, because in a film where you are banking essentially on not seeing the monster, because, you know, that's how these things hunt, is the sound design to kind of show the audience that it's there, it's lurking, it's in the shadows, it's just out of scene. I feel like that was really, really well done. And yeah, but when it comes to the actual creature itself, as I said, they've taken certain liberties with the factual things that we know about the Thylacoleo carnifex, that I feel like the version that appears in the film is kind of a trying to figure out how to word this, but it's more of the what we understand a drop bear should look like, or what we understand a drop bear should be, rather than the reality of what the creature, the Thylacoleo carnifex, actually is, if that makes sense. My dog's barking, I don't know why. But that said, I enjoyed the film. I am very appreciative of the gesture of Gina flying all the way out from South Australia to Queensland to come and take this bald bearded dickhead out to the movies. Um, it's very well appreciated. It's very much appreciated, and I feel like it really was a gesture of good faith. And yeah, I guess I'll end this by saying the same thing that I've said online and the same thing that I said to Gina tonight. I pretty much said to her that, look, if the film goes well and people are looking for something to adapt, I got something ready to go for you right here. Or if there's anyone out there looking for another Drop Bear idea that focuses more on small town mystery and an Ivan Milat type character who sends people out to the park, just you go read my book and you'll see what I mean. But the rights for Carnifex are available, and I have many alternate titles that we can look at doing. So yeah, that's it from me. This is probably my final statement on the Carnifex film for the foreseeable future. I would urge anyone who is on the fence about my novel and the book, my novel and the film of the same name about the same creature, same genre. You experience both, and you decide which one you like better. Mine is a very different beast than theirs. Theirs is a very different beast than mine. But I firmly believe that both myself and through my conversations with Gina that I had tonight, that she's just as passionate about Australian horror as I am. And we all really need to get behind Australian horror, whether it be novels, whether it be film. We really need to show both of those industries here in Australia that there is a population of people here that love horror, that want horror, and that we want more Aussie horror made. Yes, I don't think I've got anything else more to say on the matter, so I am going to go pack my bag for Good Things Festival tomorrow in Brisbane. It's going to be a big day. I'm probably not going to be checking this much at all after I'm probably going to post it on Facebook or whatever tonight. So look, as I said on Twitter as well, one thing that I'd really just like to make really 100% clear: do not go and dogpile anyone involved with the film. I don't want that. Okay? I don't. You read the book, you go watch the movie, you make up your own mind. Okay? And that's all I got. Long live Aussie horror.